Wordplay, no longer afraid. Activation of my DNA. My energy is grade A. Stepped into the gateway. On the other side was a payday.
Get it. Hey. Woo. Boy, it's been a week. Look here. But we still about to get majestic. You hear me? Check me out. Let's get into it. We're going to do Sonic today. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I didn't know it was already out. I was waiting for it to come out. And then I seen it had been out since 2024. Alright, so we back with another one. And it's about to get majestic. Alright. First and foremost, my apologies with the Elio upload. Was having technical difficulties with the storage on my phone and uploading it on YouTube and upload it all the way on YouTube. It'd be completely uploaded and then YouTube would be like, failed to upload, failed to process. After I waited like 2 hours for it to upload. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on, bruh? With that being said, I had to find a way to improvise. That's why y'all got so many shorts from the LAO podcast. I just kind of threw in different titles to reach out towards different people. But nevertheless, let's get into it. And again, baby. I ain't sip no water. Let me sip on some water right quick. I hope y'all couldn't hear me swallow that water, boy, because that shit make me cringe when I hear somebody. I hear somebody swallow that shit, make me cringe like crazy. That shit drives me crazy. I don't know why. But anyways. Alright. So if you ain't watched Sonic yet, it's not in the movies. You can go rent it. I got it off YouTube for like $5. It ain't shit. It don't cost that much. It's on YouTube. One of my partners said it was on Amazon Prime. That's really all I could confirm. I'm not gonna hold you. I didn't research to see what it's all on. Just type it in and you can find that motherfucker. It ain't hard to find, alright? Shit. It ain't hard to find. We all got Google, so do exactly that, baby. Google it. Next. If you haven't seen it, like the video. Right? As a disclaimer, like the video. Leave this video. Go watch the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And then come back to this video. It's going to be in your liked playlist. That's why I told you to like it, so you don't lose it. And then come and sit down and we can break this motherfucker down together. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, bet. Cool. Now, if you have watched it, let's get into it, my nigga. Let's do it. Let's do it. I ain't going to hold you. Every now and then, you might hear me say that. It kind of just comes out. I ain't going to pretend that's not how I talk when I'm off the camera. So we're just going to be authentic and keep it a buck. If you don't like it, shit. Fuck you. Go somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying? I'd rather be authentic with this motherfucker than trying to put on an act, trying to be somebody I'm not. You understand? And I hope you're doing the same thing. I don't know how many pages worth of notes this is, but it looks like we got a lot to get into. Yeah. Definitely a lot to get into, so let's get into it. Let's go on and just get straight to it, baby. Let me get this thing so I can see it. First and foremost, the overall theme of Sonic. You got two overall themes. First one is love. Second one is again teamwork, partnership. You can even say unification is also another theme as well, another overall theme. So we got three themes. We got love, unification, and teamwork / partnership. So let's unpack it. So we're gonna open up the movie. They open up the movie with Shadow and Water, who was having flashbacks of the love that he shared. Let y'all know I'm looking down at the notes to help me retrace the movie, right? Because I watched the movie like 24 hours ago, so it's fresh in my head, but it ain't fresh in my head. You get what I'm saying? But let's get to it. So yeah. So they open the movie with him in the water, having flashbacks of the love that he shared with his first friend, which is Maria. Now, again, he's in water. We already know from previous videos, we talked about it briefly. Water is what? Water is the element of reflection. Water is the element of clarity. Water is the element of change. Water is a very powerful being. It is conscious. It hears you. It sees you. It feels you, literally. This is why you can say I love you to water, freeze it, and it comes out with all these beautiful geometric shapes. And then if you try to say I hate water and freeze it, it comes out with all these ugly ass shapes. It feels you. You program. You can program water. I'm gonna go too deep into that, but you can program water based off of what you say. Look it up. They've got a it's an experiment. I'm trying to remember what it's called. And maybe that was a plant. Actually, I think that might have been a plant where they was talking to the plant. And either way, it's the same thing, right? So let's get back into it. The water is signifying the water's bringing back memories and information, right? Because that's what it holds. It's a stream of information. That's why it's water. So I call it water. And so when you say you get streams, stream of water, banks and shit. You got river banks. You got stream of income. You get what I'm saying? So water has a lot of connection with a lot of things that we use in this world every day. He uses shadow, so he's got flashbacks of his first love and his first friend. The frequency of love sparks his heart, gets his heart pumping again after 5 years. I mean, I said 5 years. Well, that's crazy. After 50 years. So understand, this is to demonstrate the power of love, right? He's been, I guess you could say, dead. He didn't have a heartbeat, at least. We could say that. He didn't have a pulse for 50 years. And then when he started thinking about the love of, or his friend, right? When he starts thinking about his friend, he then sparks his heart. It gets his heart going. Regardless of how angry he was and mad he was, it wasn't the anger or the chaos that sparked his heart. It was love. So remember this part. Remember, it was the love. He's waking up. When he wakes up, that's symbolic of his awakening, right? It says he's awake. He's waking up, like as him obviously becoming alive. So you could say this is a part of him having his awakening, coming out of the shadows, right? The guards surround the little water tank in preparation to stop him. Shadow runs. He like fucks them up pretty easily. It wasn't even a challenge. And then he busts out the little army base bunker thing, and he runs on the water towards the city. So again, we've got water again as an element, but understand he's running on the water. He's not running through the water. He's not swimming through the water. He's running on the water. He's running on pure emotion. And what's his emotion? What is the pure emotion that he's running on? Is anger and frustration. That is what's, not even frustration, anger and hatred and chaos is all what's fueling him right now. So he's running on the water instead of feeling his emotions. That's why he's not running through the water or swimming through the water. He's running on it. You know what I'm saying? Because you understand water, again, one of them things that water represents is emotions. Picture the movie shifts from Shadow to Sonic trying to race Tails and Knuckles, right? They run through the forest all around. I don't even know where the hell they ended up going. But at the end, Sonic realizes he wasn't even racing Tails and Knuckles. They were just holograms. This is what the world is. A hologram. The phone in front of me is a holographic image being projected outside of my mind in front of me. You are a hologram image being projected in your mind outside to somebody. I'll explain that deeper into the podcast. It'll make more sense. So after Sonic realizes it's a hologram, he runs back to the camp trying to figure out what's going on. And when he runs back to him, that's when he realizes they're having a surprise, basically birthday party. anniversary is basically them celebrating him the day that he came to Earth. So in a sense, you could say his solar return, right? And then Tails says, if it wasn't for you, none of us would be here. That's symbolic. Again, that's symbolic. It's all going. You know how we tie it up, baby. You know how we tie it up. It's gonna make sense. Just sit down. You know what I'm saying? Keep eating the motherfucking crackers and shit. You know what I mean? So this is where you're gonna have to kind of pay attention. So Tails represents Sonic. Tails represents Sonic's divine feminine. Remember, we've got these three energies within us that we project outwardly, right? So you've got Sonic, right? Because the entire movie is called Sonic, right? And it's called Shadow. There's Sonic and then going against Shadow. The movie is only about these two. These are the only two real characters in Sonic, Sonic and Shadow. Everyone else is a projection of their internal state. So Tails is the projection of Sonic's divine feminine within his self. Knuckles is a projection of Sonic's warrior energy within his self. Tom is a projection of Sonic's masculine energy. I don't know Tom's wife's name, but Tom's wife is another projection of Sonic's feminine side. Now, and then Sonic himself represents his inner child, his childish way of playing around and being, he's always happy, go lucky, blah, 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 type shit. You get the picture. So Tom says, when you came to the planet, that's when all of our lives changed. Hence the fact that I just said he is the main character and everyone around him is just a projected image of him, which is what I meant when I said we're just the whole world is a holograph. It's a holographic image. Phone is just a reflection of my internal state. Me talking to you is a reflection of yourself talking to yourself on an internal state. No bullshit. Yeah, no bullshit. They so Sonic and Tom go on a walk towards I don't think they was going towards his cave. I think they were just going on a walk, and then they just kind of came across Sonic's old cave when he first came to Earth, right? And in this, well, first before I get into that, the symbolism of him finding the cave, of them going into the cave, is kind of a symbolism of remember where you came from, remember where you started, and just look at how far you came, basically. That's the symbolism. Because when they get inside, they see Sonic sees all the things that he used to have in there. He even sees his first painting that he painted in there when he first was missing. Damn, I forgot the girl name, but it was like the owl or something like that he painted. He painted it on a wall, and this is where you see Sonic uses creativity and art to help himself cope, which is what we do here in the humanistic world every day. And Tom tells him it's about all the choices we make and to listen to your heart, because when you listen to your heart, no matter what, that's going to help guide you in the most needing time, So, and then he tells Sonic, I don't know what I would do without you. My fault. Reverse that. Sonic tells Tom he doesn't know what he would do without Tom. He'd probably be a different hedgehog. As he says this shifts. The scene shifts to Shadow as he says, I don't know what I'd do without you. I'd probably be a different hedgehog. It shifts. You have Shadow becoming frustrated with with the army troops who are continuously following him, trying to get him back into the container. And he literally says, why do y'all keep... I think he says, why won't y'all leave me alone? right? And then he proceeds to fuck them up again. He proceeds to fuck them up again. The military approaches Sonic and his family at the campsite. This is when we first meet damn, what's her name? I'm not sure what her name is. I have it written down though. So when we get further into the podcast, closer to the end of the movie, it's gonna be there. I ain't finna look for her name right now. She's not really even that important to me. But she's like the lieutenant colonel something, where she steps out, she asks basically Sonic and Knuckles and Tails to come help them because they have to deal with Shadow. They don't know how to deal with Shadow. So they get into the helicopter. They get to Tokyo. They're about to jump out. Knuckles says, Tails first off says he's got the she's got the gadgets. My fault. She's got the gadgets. Knuckles says he doesn't need gadgets. He's 1,000% muscle. And as he's saying this, Sonic and Tails start mimicking Knuckles, basically because he's been saying this shit all the time. So Knuckles says, "Good, you've been listening." You've been listening. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. The movie was kind of funny. It was a funny ass movie. Not gonna hold you. So they jump down. They land. Sonic meets his shadow self. This is the first time the two main characters come face to face. Right? Sonic meets his self. Shadow meets his self. This is the symbol of the mirror. All right. They fight. Sonic basically gets his ass whooped. Knuckles gets his ass whooped. His ego gets him knocked out. Tails gets whooped. Everybody's getting fucked up except for Shadow. So Shadow basically gets on a bike, dips, says, "Don't follow me." Sonic does the exact opposite, follows him. They end up going up against this tower, or running up this tower. And this tower is symbolic because in tarot and the spiritual realm, you've got the tower moment is basically symbolic of change. It means it's a sudden shift. Something happens to where there's going to be change, there's going to be an opportunity for growth, or something's going to end so that something new can begin, or vice versa. Something's beginning while something's ending. It's the same kind of concept. This is what the tarot card represents in tarot. So the fact that they're on this tower, they're racing up this tower and they fight. They both shoot towards each other with hella energy from each self. So you've got Shadow coming down towards Sonic and Sonic going up towards Shadow. And when they collide, the strike again has so much frequency, so much energy behind it that it shuts down the power grid to Tokyo. So we've seen this again. We've seen this first in Elio, right? Frequency being so high that it shuts off the power. Now we see it again here in Sonic. Frequency being so high, it shuts off the power. So after that, we don't know where Shadow goes. Sonic is somehow handcuffed to the pole. Tails says Sonic shouldn't have went along, and Sonic basically admits he's still working on his teamwork. He's not used to having a team with him. So this is where you can kind of see, this is where you see growth. This is where you see Sonic's growth in himself, trying to still work with his team, his internal team. Because you got to remember, Tails and Knuckles, they're not real characters. They're just projections. They're projected images of Sonic's internal state. So from there, they go to what's it called? I think it's a child dinner or something like that. It's supposed to be a safe spot for them to be able to figure out what's going on. This is when we meet Commander Walters. Commander Walters is the one who locked Shadow up to begin with from 50 years ago. So Commander Walters comes in and basically tells Sonic Shadow's story. And that's when Sonic realized Shadow is basically the opposite version of himself. He learns his power is chaos energy. So nobody knew how to handle Shadow. As I said previously, nobody knew how to handle Shadow. They only feared him. So because of that, Commander Walters locked him up because they determined his chaotic energy was too dangerous for basically the world, right? Again, notice how we're talking about chaotic energy again. We spoke about chaos energy briefly when we was doing F1. So, and also, like I said, this is not something I purposely chose to watch because this is just how it's interconnected. This is an what you call it? This is an example of how everything is intertwined. So you are getting a live example of how everything is interconnected with me talking about these movies that we've talked about previously, and now we're talking about this movie where we're already adding towards what we've talked about chaos energy, when we talked about energy being too high to cut off the power on the grid. I don't want to say that these movies I picked were random. I picked these movies because I fuck with them. Because I was interested in F1, right? I like racing cars. Leo, I knew that was going to have some downloads in it. Sonic and the Shadow Self, I had gotten to a mental war with my own Shadow Self previously this week, to where I was like, damn, I need to watch Sonic, and Shadow, and see what the fuck does Sonic do with his shadow, so I can see what I need to do with my own shadow, right? So it's not like I've got these lined up, picking these to just make it all sound cute. Like, this shit is just happening as it go. That's just the beauty and the majesty of the universe, and how everything correlates and everything is aligned. And when you align, everything just becomes more beautiful. See what I'm saying? So after that, someone tries to mirror Robotnik's drone. You don't know who that is? That's the dude with the weird mustache. That doesn't it doesn't go down. It just goes straight up, or straight to the side, I guess. Yeah. And Robotnik, but yeah, they use that to mirror Robotnik's drones. They try to use the drones to basically destroy Sonic and Commander Walters. And Robotnik's assistant, Mr. Stone, or Agent Stone, proves to Sonic, he basically comes in and saves Sonic and his team, and then he proves to Sonic that it wasn't Robotnik and behind the drones at the dinner chow, and he takes them to the little crab robot ship that Robotnik is in. Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. I was thinking about sleeping, bro. I was thinking about sleeping long ago. I say, nah, fuck this. Let me handle it. Let me handle the podcast on my soul. So, if I yawn a couple times, shit, get over it. It'll be alright. So Sonic and his team and Agent Stone catch Robotnik in this in like this most vulnerable state, right? They catch him fucking playing drums on his belly. He's got food and trash all over the place. He just looks terrible, bro. He just looks really, really terrible. And they basically realized that, well, first off, Robotnik traces where his drones came from. Who was tracking the drones, right? So he's got IP addresses that he trace, and then it hits the location, or pings the location where Shadow's bunker is, or the old abandoned military base, however you want to say it. And then Tails recognizes that they may have to work together. And I say, hey, I mean, Sonic's team and Robotnik, they're gonna have to work together. So this is another example of removing your egos out the way to solve a greater problem. We've seen this again previously in F1 when JP and damn, what was his name in the movie? Sonny, JP and Sonny, when they had to have that dinner to remove their egos out the way and work towards a greater purpose. It's the same thing here in Sonic. So from there, the scene shifts, they go to the bunker, and it turns out that the drones was actually a move made by Robotnik's grandfather to lure them. Is that how you say that? Lure them to the bunker, anyways. And then this is also another example of your teamwork when they put their egos to the side to work towards taking out the same common enemy. So shifts back to Shadow at the military base, and here is where Maria he sees escape from Maria. Sees one of her roller skates from Maria, and then this is when we get a big flashback of kind of getting a general understanding of truly why he misses Maria. And this is when she first encounters him. She sees him in the water. He turns around. He's got the angry look on his face, and she basically kind of makes fun of him for it. She draws like little bunny ears and shit. Then she puts her hand on the glass, and he puts his hand on the glass. And then from there, you can see that hand on the glass is their first time technically connecting. It symbolizes a connection. So this is when they first make connection. She immediately demonstrates Maria, right? That being, she demonstrates her divine, feminine, nurturing love, and she just demonstrates her inner child love, which is another pure love. So you've got a nurturing love, almost like motherly love. You got motherly love, and then you've got pure child love. So there's nothing that can really come to break this apart. So because Shadow experiences both of these pure loves, both versions of these pure loves, he begins to basically allow her in, because he sees that she's not afraid of him. He sees that she's accepting him for who he is, even if he doesn't understand who he is. And a lot of times as a human being, that's what we all going through. Whether it's, shit, I don't even really need to explain that. You got that. Like, you understand that at some point in time in your life, you felt the same way Shadow does. Shit, for all I know, you might be experiencing that shit right now. Hopefully you're not. But if you are, you know what I'm saying? You'll understand. But this is the first kind of love Shadow experiences with someone, like I said, not being afraid of him or judging him. So they go up to the top of this mountain and they're looking at the stars. She says the stars look like diamonds. Shadow says a light still shines even though the star is gone. Shadow doesn't know anything about his home. And this is the emptiness that we feel after awakening, really before awakening, and then when we really awaken, then we really, really truly crave that sense of home, right? Because for me personally, I've always felt like I was not from this place. And we're talking about Earth. I never felt like I belonged on Earth. I hated Earth. I hated being here. I'm not gonna lie with you. And there's times I still hate being here. But I've learned to adapt, you know what I'm saying, and cope with it. And make shit happen regardless. But he asked Maria if she thinks he's dangerous, because that's how the scientists look at him. And and he didn't know he wasn't sure what he was. He doesn't know his own power. He doesn't know what he's capable of himself. So she says she sees him as her friend, not because of his powers, but because of who he is in his heart. So This is the second time you've got the heart reference. This is the second time you've got the love reference. You got to remember at the beginning. That's why I told you to remember the beginning part when he was going through the flashbacks in the water, and the memories that he had with Maria is what sparked his heart. Him holding on to that love is what gave him a pulse back to come back to life after 50 years. So she tells him that, and basically this shows us she sees, again, because she's in her feminine and her inner child energy, she's combining these two energies. She sees through his darkness, and because she can see him through his darkness and see who he really is, this is symbolic of basically understanding that we're all one, that we're all the same energy. Now again, hold on to that thought, because we're going to tie that back together too. We are all one energy. So now we're going to take it back to where Sonic told Tom he didn't know what he would do without him. Remember that part in the movie? He says that, right? Tom, I don't know what I would do without you. I'd probably be a whole nother hedgehog. This is when we get the mirror. This is when we get the mirror. This is happening simultaneously. Shadow tells Maria he doesn't know what he would do without her. So you've got the mirrors reflecting. This is the example of there are so many different versions of you that exist at the same time currently in different realities and different dimensions. So with that foreshadow and with that symbolism, you've got Sonic telling Tom during the daytime, right? Because Sonic's representing the loving side of his self. You've got him telling Tom during the daytime he doesn't know what he would do without him. Shadow's telling Maria he doesn't know what he would do without her at night. Hence his name being Shadow. So the dark side of the mirror. And then this is a symbolic towards your light and your shadow self. You've got the parallel universes, like I just said. You got your yin and your yang energies, your above and your as above, so below, right? And then also think about how they are on a mountaintop. They're on a mountaintop. What's the mountaintop? You've got to climb the mountain, right? Moses did what? Moses had to climb the mountain to get to the burning bush. Moses had to climb in his mind internally to get to the burning bush, to get to the pineal gland, right? Same thing with them being on this mountaintop. Maria and Shadow. Maria is Shadow's divine feminine. That's the projection of his divine feminine. That's why that connection was so deep, because she could still see him for love, no matter what everyone else was seeing. This is why it's so important to have a deeper relationship with yourself before you go out trying to love someone else. Because if you don't even understand your own energies that play within you, how the fuck can you understand someone else's energy? You won't. You can't. It's not gonna happen. This is what leads to trauma bonding. Motherfuckers try to jump into a relationship before they're ready. You gotta understand the basics inside your own self. You gotta understand your masculine, your feminine, and your inner child energies. You gotta know when your higher self is present. You gotta know when your shadow self is present. You gotta know which energy you are operating in. The easier you can identify what energy you're operating, the easier you can not only see other people and what energy they're operating out of, but you can operate out of your energy accordingly. You can choose which energy to operate out of accordingly. So that's what the mountaintop symbolizes. That represents Shadow being really at his higher self. So the moment that they're on that mountain and he's talking to Maria and Maria's talking back to him, they're looking at the stars. That's Shadow's higher self communicating with his divine feminine. And then you've got them being under the moon, Shadow and Maria. They're under a full moon. The full moon is said to have these harmful frequencies and amplify chaotic energies. So it seems like the perfect place for Shadow to be, right? Because he's got a chaotic energy. That's what he fucks with. That's his shit. He just understands chaotic energy better than he understands loving energy at this point in time. You see, Shadow confesses that the pain is too much, and where he was held at was an octagon. Now, the octagon is what? It's a circle or the square. So in sacred geometry, you've got the square. The square represents the earth. The square represents manifestation and bringing groundedness to the earth. The circle is what? Basically the spirit. So when you put them together, the octagon represents the bridge between the earth and the spiritual dimensions. It's the fact why Shadow's there presently. So Sonic's team and Robotnik and what that boy name? Agent Stone. Appreciate you, right? Agent Stone teleports to Shadow's holding ground. It's not what I wanted to say though. It's because they teleport to Shadow, the military base that Shadow is at, and basically they get there and there's 3 tunnels. So Robotnik suggests that they split up. Sonic says, we're not splitting up because I'm not letting you out my sight. Robotnik Robotnik senses the trust issues. Sonic basically expresses his traumas with Robotnik. He says, you tried to kill me and now you want me to trust you. So like it's kind of like it's a what do they call it? It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress as a team, right? But again, at this point in time, you have to remember Robotnik is not a projection of Sonic's internal state. He's not a projection of Sonic's internal state. Tails, Knuckles, Tom, and Tom's wife are Sonic's internal projections. We'll get to it. I'm gonna let you think about who Robotnik's internal projection really is. So they split up. Knuckles goes his ways. Tails goes with Agent Stone. Sonic goes with Robotnik. So Tails. That's funny. Tails says, to Agent Stone, because I think Agent Stone asked him something. I forget what he asked him. And he asked him about being Sonic's assistant. He's like, I'm not Sonic's assistant. We're best friends. Like, I'm his assistant. We're a team, but I'm also his best friend. So we all play a role in the team, you know. So he listed the roles of the team. Sonic does. I don't even remember what Sonic's role was. Knuckles is the basically the fighter, the warrior, and Tails is the gadgets person, you know. And he says we're best friends. And during this, you could tell Agent Stone is shook. He's got a new perspective because he's never experienced this type of friendship with Robotnik. Because Robotnik is just telling him, "Hey, do this, do that, do this." Then he kind of, I won't say he talks shit. He kind of treats Agent Stone like shit. We'll say that. Especially in the second Sonic. So, by Tails sharing her version of what it's like to be in a team, it inspires Agent Stone and gives Agent Stone a new perception of what life could really be like. And it's kind of crazy because I just had this conversation with another person at a networking event last week where we're discussing the different type of parenting styles. So the way that she parents her kids, I was gonna say children, but then I try to mix it and say kids. The way she parents her kids, she makes it her whole theme is about transparency. So how you have a typical teenager who try to hide shit on their phone, or try to hide the things that they do, or even try to hide their report card, sneak out to parties and shit, typical teenager shit, typical kid shit. Her kids don't do that because she's creating an environment of transparency and safety and compassion to where she allows I was about to say her students. I was about to say her students, but you can really see it as that too. But she also, at the same time, she's humble enough to admit that she's basically a student as well, because she's still learning how to be a mom as well. So instead of it being like, I'm the mom, I'm the dad, do what I say, do, blah, 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 she's more of a, okay, what's going on? Like, we need to see you, hey, you got this right here and you got this right here. Now, if you fuck up, okay, we need to see why you fucked up, where you fucked up, and where you went wrong at. Where you went wrong at, I identify. If I can identify where you went wrong at, then I can give you the proper guidance to basically handle it correctly the following time that it happens, if it happens again. Versus traditional black parenting styles, right? Because she was an African queen. I don't want to say that she was a copper queen. We'll say that because I don't even know if she's African or not, and I don't really like saying that all black people are African, because our roots go way deeper than just fucking Africa, right? But we'll say she was a copper queen. She, like I said, creates this environment of safety and transparency to the point where she doesn't have to even ask them to tell her something. They willingly come to her and tell her shit that they're experiencing, whether it's kissing somebody or going to a party with alcohol or whatever the case is, right? So to me, in this moment where she's explaining this, not only to me, but the people around her that she's talking to, that is kind of like she represents Tails, and I was Agent Stone at that time, because see, the only parenting style I've experienced is do what I say because I'm the parent, right? If you talk back, that's seen as disrespectful, versus her talking back is more about communicating, because how the fuck do you know what you did, or can you understand what your child did without letting them tell you why they did what they did, instead of you just assuming the worst, like most typical copper parents do. So if you're a copper parent, I hope you hear this part. I really do hope you hear this part, because when you do that shit, me speaking from experience, when you do that shit, when you shut the kid down, when they're trying to tell you why they did what they did, and you talking about it's talking back because it's disrespectful, understand you are shutting their inner voice down. You are making them, you setting them up to make it hard for them to defend themselves in the real world. You understand what I'm saying? So when shit pop off, when somebody come to them talking shit to them, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna take them a lot longer to stand up for themselves than the typical, than the way that the Copper Queen has set up her transparency to be able to defend, or not even to defend, but to set up the transparency and communication. So understand, to the parents listening to this, when they talking back, they're not talking back. You just lack communication skills and lack communicative understanding and emotional intelligence, and you need to better your fucking self so that you can help better your own child. You understand? So that they don't grow up 20, 30 fucking years from now fucking handling conversations and communication and angers the same way that your ass did. And vice versa to the kid listening to this. If you've experienced that, yeah, if that's what they did, that's cool. You gotta forget their ass for that. You gotta forget their ass for that. But if you recognize it, obviously you have enough wisdom to see through that bullshit. And you know, I know for a fact that you are wise enough to go find and seek the correct way to handle communication, and the correct way to love yourself. If you're in a situation where you don't need to be in, and you feel like you feel the energy and you already know the energy is off, then you need to remember you have that choice to just say no. Again, the power of choice. That's the second time we've referenced it today. So for that little spectrum, that was to relate to Agent Stone having inspiration from Tails, explaining her perspective. The same thing goes hand in hand in this daily life. Hold up, I lost my spot in the notes. Let me find them up right here. Oh yeah. So with Tails telling Agent Stone this, it's evident that Agent Stone, you can see it with emotional intelligence. You can see it that he doesn't feel seen or heard by Robotnik. So Robotnik accepts that nobody wants him and starts trauma dumping on Sonic about his pain for not having a family. And Sonic kind of walks off, and Shadow pops up and knocks Shadow or Sonic out and ties them up. Robotnik doesn't know Sonic just got beat up by Shadow and teleported into a different spot on the military base. So Robotnik ends up meeting his grandfather for the first time, and they both end up saying, first they start mirroring each other. They start mirroring each other because Robotnik is trying to find a way to believe the disbelief because he's always thought he's been alone. So they start mirroring each other, and then they both say at the same time, it's as if we're two characters in a movie being played by the same actor, right? So this could mean, right, on the surface, this is basically them admitting that the grandfather is the same person. The same person that's playing Robotnik is the grandfather. He's playing the grandfather as well. Kind of like Michael B. Jordan playing Stax and Smoke in Sinners, if you've seen it. If you didn't see it, well then it's basically that. So, but on a deeper level, what they're referring to is that consciousness energy. Is as if we're the same characters playing a movie or being played in a movie by the same actors. Meaning I am the same character as you. You just got a mask on and I just got a mask on. The person sitting next to you, the person that you're driving to, the person driving in front of you, the person driving behind you, the person sitting in front of you, the person sitting behind you, the the person that cut you off in traffic, the person that pissed you off at work, your boss that pissed you off at work, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your nephew, your aunt, your niece, your pets are all you and me. We're just wearing different masks. That is the meaning of that quote. So Robotnik basically, like I said, tries to make his grandfather prove to him that he is his grandfather by asking him these difficult scientific questions. Then he asks, where have you been my entire life, right? This is typically the question that one may, if they express it out loud, that's cool. 9 times out of 10, most express it internally though. When they meet someone, when two souls meet and they feel like they've met before, it's because they have met before, because we've done this all before. So it's like, where have you been all my life? They've been here, but they've all been going on their own journey for you to be able to meet at this union, at this exact moment in time. So it's like this. Think about it. We'll use Michael Jackson as an example. All the fans that were fans of Michael Jackson, they followed Michael Jackson before, when Michael Jackson was on this earth previously. And whoever he was at that time, those same people were followers of him then. And then the time before that, and then the time before that. The same followers of Jesus were following Jesus in the time before he became Jesus. And we're talking about the lifetime, not the time itself, but the lifetime before that. The people, the followers of, trying to think of another example. Who the fuck else does people know? I think you get the example. You get the point. Yeah, you get the point. So Shadow takes the key basically from Sonic. Oh shit, I forgot to mention that. So hold on, rewind back to the child dinner when they had mimicked the drones. Somebody mimicked Robotnik's drones and made it seem like it was Robotnik, but it wasn't Robotnik. So when all that happened, Commander Walters gave Sonic the key to a cannon that could potentially destroy the Earth. Okay, now fast forward back into present time when Shadow takes that key. Cool. Now I caught you up. My fault. I left that key part out. That's crazy. So yeah. So they take everything. That, I think Shadow says that. I don't remember if Shadow says that or Robotnik says that, but he said they took everything from us, and now we're going to take everything from them. And this makes me think of when you have that first awakening. Most people just say, "I'm coming back for everything I deserve." That's kind of what that made me think of. When once, when once, for once, someone remembers who they are, right? So Robotnik expresses gratitude to Sonic for inspiring him to come with him as a team because now he's met his grandfather. And then from there, Robotnik switches sides. He switches sides. Shadow leaves a mini black hole. This is representative of his void, of the void that he feels within himself from Maria, since Maria is gone. So, or it could also symbolize the void that he's trying to fill within himself because the black hole sucks in everything. It's just like a vacuum. So it's like he's just trying to fill himself with everything, but none of that's going to fill him. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to give him what exactly he's seeking or searching for. So Robotnik gets to experience what it's like to bond with his grandfather, or just to bond with family in general, and this allows him to express his inner child. It's the first time we see him really express his inner child. So they go, they go on roller coasters, they ride bikes, eat cotton candy, all this other shit, and it's all on a virtual reality. So basically, Agent Stone is also in the virtual reality. He's going to hand them coffee and sees Robotnik and his grandfather eating cotton candy, and he kind of just pours out the coffee, and from there he takes off his mask. Right, he takes off the virtual reality to disconnect from the illusion, which is why I say he takes off his mask, while the other two stay in the illusion. So when this happens, this is kind of when Agent Stone sees through the bullshit with Robotnik's grandfather. He knows there's something going on a deeper level. He just doesn't know what exactly. Sonic's team end up planning how to take the second key from London because there's two keys. So they teleport. First, they teleport out of the black hole before it sucks them into it, and then they teleport to Tom's. They teleport to Tom's and his wife. I really don't know his wife's name, but they teleport there, and then they lay out a map, trying to basically plan the best way to get the second key back, or get the second key since Shadow took the first key. So as long as they had one key, because you had to have both keys to access this cannon. If you only had one, then you can't access it. So that's why they were trying to plan to get to the second key in London. That way they wouldn't be able to access it. Thank you. Shadow expresses he wants revenge, and he's basically told to be patient. Sonic has to learn patience as well, which is another mirror. Again, they're both having to learn the same shit, just in different ways and different forms. Sonic has to wait until Tails, until Tails basically disarms the security field in the I'm not even sure what they called that building. I forgot what the building's called, but they had to disarm it because it's covered with high-tech security with lasers. The lasers is supposed to like burn you to pieces. And then they've got this energetic defense field around the entire exterior of the place. So you've got that actually also burn you energetically. So it's a lot of high-tech shit to protect this key. And again, everyone has a role to play in the plan. So the building with the key, Tom and his wife, they go in. They use use holograms, the same holograms they use at the beginning of the meet. I said the meet. I was thinking about track meets. But the same holograms that they used when Sonic was racing Tails and Knuckles hologram is the same type of holograms they used for Tom. So Tom and his wife used these holograms and she shifted into her sister, and he shifted into her sister's husband. I think they got married. But this hologram, them shifting into different versions of themselves, this represents shape shifting, right? This represents shape shifting. So they shape shift in order to get into this highly secure They shape shift to get into this highly secure building, and this building is basically the key that can represent, like, getting to the key represents the deeper aspects of ourselves. So having it on lockdown and having all the security can be it's multiple representations. They can be the trauma, it can be the wounds, it can be the fears, your own thoughts. That's what the security is. You got to breach these thoughts, these wounds, these fears. You got to let them go, basically, right? You can't give them too much attention, or at least to the thoughts. The traumas and pain and wounds, you got to heal that. So you get through that. That gives you access to the key that you're seeking in yourself. That's kind of how I seen the building with the second key and all the security that it had with it. So while that's going on, Agent Stone tells Shadow, because Agent Stone's basically left to babysit Shadow while Robotnik and his grandfather go to the building as well to get the second key. So they're on the little crab drone ship thing, and Shadow says, I think Agent Stone says something about getting revenge or ruling the world. And Shadow says, when we're done doing what we're doing, there won't be a world left to rule, or something like that. And then he tells Shadow he needs to lighten up. This is a subliminal meaning when he says that. It means he really needs to just release his pain, right? Because pain is heavy than a bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's really heavy, especially when you let it pile on top of each other. Sonic enters the building, or the higher mind, right? And he uses speed to bypass his own thoughts. His own thoughts is the security. Remember, I said, like, I just referenced that, the security, all the high-tech security, that's all, his own thoughts. He uses speed to get around it. There's a gravity system that symbolizes balance. Once they open up the vault, and this gravity system, basically, it either pulls you to the ground or puts you in the air. So this symbolizes balance, where, like I said, you got someone up, some are down. Either way, the energy is balanced in order to keep people from being able to get to the key. Oh, baby. Hold up. My fault, man. So that's the gravity tech system. That's what they use as an extra precaution to security. Where we at? So with that being said, the other so that female agent that came originally and told Sonic that they need them to help them with Shadow. So her name is Agent or Director Rockwell. That's her name. We at that part of the movie. I found her name. Okay. So Director Rockwell snatches the key once the gravity security system is shut off, and they're able to get up, and those who are in the air are able to come back down to the floor. She takes the key and runs, and Tom has an idea. He thinks real quick, and he shifts to Commander Walter, and basically convinces her to give him the key. So he gets the key from her, and when Sonic and them, they're on their way, Shadow teleports, sees Tom, but Tom is shapeshifted into Commander Walter. So Shadow doesn't know about shapeshifting. So he sees Commander Walter and thinks it's Commander Walter. Then he literally calls his name and says Commander Walter, and then he punches him, knocks out Tom, takes the key, and by the time he gets the key, Sonic's there, and he's telling everybody else to come on, hurry up. And then he looks and sees Shadow, and then he sees Tom past Shadow. And then from there, Tom's hologram thing kind of like deactivates, and it goes back to his true self. So this is when Shadow sees that he didn't really hit Commander Walter, he hit Tom. So he's confused. He's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And so when Sonic's on, trying to hold Tom and bring Tom back, Shadow sees or has flashbacks of, he basically sees himself in Shadow or Sonic's position, and the only difference is it wasn't Tom, it was Maria that he was holding when she died. So Sonic asked Shadow, what did he do? And in response, Shadow says he did what he had to do. And behind this statement is his meaning of making someone else feel his pain, which is why he remembered that. Symbolism. Well, my hair look fake. Damn, look like an AI. Tripping. Shit. Agent Stone calls Robotnik and tries to warn Robotnik once he figures out the plan with whatever name, Shadow. Once he figures out the plan with Shadow and what they're actually trying to do, he tries to warn Robotnik, and of course Robotnik rejects it because he's found family for the first time, so he's feeling love for the first time, so he thinks Agent Stone is just jealous, right? He thinks Agent Stone is just jealous, so he basically rejects that, ignores Agent Stone, and then the Robotniks, both the grandfather and the grandson. Well, the grandfather makes new jackets, new little lab coats, and they're red and white. So if you didn't answer that question already, were the Robotniks, the grandfather, and the grandson. The grandfather and the grandson are the projections, the internal projections of Shadow. This is why I said nobody in the movie is really actually a character. The only two real characters in the movie is Sonic and Shadow. Everybody else is just a projection of their internal state. So now that we've brought that together, now you can kind of see, you completely see, you've got Sonic and his internal state with Tails, Knuckles, Tom, and Tom's wife. That's all his internal state. Notice he's got two divine feminine energies in there, so he's got nurturing love in there. And he's got warrior energy in there. You look at Shadow's internal state, he's got Maria, who had both the feminine, the divine feminine energy, and the inner child. Then you've got the grandfather, Robotnik, symbolizes the wounded masculine energy. And you've got the grandson, Robotnik, symbolizing the wounded inner child. So you see how it comes together, where you've got one who is healed, who has a more healthier internal state, and one who hasn't healed. They have all these wounds carrying around with them. So because they got all these wounds carrying around with them, they have developed a shadow, where now hurt people hurt people. Hence, Shadow hurt Tom, and not really to hurt Tom. He thought it was Commander Walter, but at the end of the day, he ends up realizing he was hurting people because he was hurt. So the white and the red coats are very symbolic at this point in the movie, because this is only when I realized Shadow or the Robotniks were just an internal state of Shadow. So Sonic decides to use the Master Emerald, and Knuckles tells Sonic his heart is being consumed by anger, recognizing that Shadow has left, and or the Shadow had began activating the Shadow within Sonic. So that's why it says, it's like this. Think about this, dude. We just talk about killing. I don't even like talking about killing, but you can think about it like this. Well, you got gangs and shit. Why they always at war? Because somebody killed somebody. So now they continue repeating the cycle. Oh, you killed my cousin. Well, I'm gonna kill your brother. Well, you killed my brother. I'm gonna kill your sister. You kill da 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 da. They just keep going and going and going and going and going. Why? Because they let hate consume their heart. No one's stopping the cycle because they can't even see that they're in a cycle. You get what I'm saying? That's basically what's going on. When Shadow hit Tom, that brought pain to Sonic, and Sonic converted that pain into anger, similar to what Shadow did when when the scientists, or not the scientists, when the army, the military was trying to lock and capture, they're trying to lock away Shadow and capture him, and they were running. Robotnik, Maria, and Shadow were running, and they shot the little gas thing and blew up, and it killed Maria. Shadow converted all of that heartbreak into pure anger, pure destruction, pure chaotic energy. So Sonic gets the emerald. He ends up, Knuckles says he trusts him. So Sonic gets the emerald and he evolves. He evolutes to his golden aura, which can be portrayed as his higher self. But Grandpa Robotnik tells Shadow, remember what they took from us. And when he tells him that this is to reactivate all of that energy, that anger energy and that chaotic energy he felt when Maria first died. And he uses this to basically power up the cannon that they've pretty much activated and pulled out of the water. And we're going to shoot onto Earth. So my fault. I just heard something outside. That's why I was like, what's going on? You know, like them hydraulic pumps you hear when somebody stop one of them big ass trucks or like a truck or something. That's why I was like, what the hell is going on outside? Yeah, I mean, but Robotnik says to his grandpa or his grandfather that he doesn't have to basically end the Earth or destroy the Earth. We could just use our intelligence together and take over the world and basically control the world through us. And Robotnik basically says, the grandfather basically says, you're no Maria. So this breaks Robotnik's heart, you know, because he's found family, and now that he's trying to team up with family, his family basically just disowned him again. So now he feels rejected. This is also a mirror of how Agent Stone felt from the way that Robotnik was treating him. Alright, we good. So, yes, this was a mirror of Robotnik was getting the energy returned back to him that he was putting out. So when he was basically taking advantage of Agent Stone rather than, you know, accepting Agent Stone and talking to Agent Stone and being more compassionate, he was rejecting Agent Stone. He was taking Agent Stone for granted, all that good stuff. Not really good stuff, but you know what I'm saying, all of that. And because of that, that's what he got in return from his own grandfather, you know, the one that he ended up becoming really close to. So Sonic reaches the ship after taking the emerald, the golden emerald, and he He basically shoots through the ship, snatches Shadow out the ship with him before anybody can even do anything because it just happened so fast. Shadow, they end up landing on some type of like planet. I don't know. I really don't want to say it was a planet. It was more like the moon. And Shadow basically knocks the emerald out of, like, he hits Sonic hard enough that it knocks the emerald out of Sonic into the multiple pieces of the emerald. They both end up collecting pieces of it, and they both evolve into their higher selves. So now they both possess powers of the emerald now. So this is when you got the golden Sonic. You got golden Sonic and his golden aura, and you've got Shadow and his higher self as well, which is white and red. This is also, this is how that white and red lab coat correlates and gives you more clarity on how you can see the two Robotniks are the internal projections of Shadow. Also think about it like this. The Robotnik wounded inner child just experienced more pain from the wounded masculine energy, which was the grandfather. So as the next little bit of this recording or the podcast is kind of going, you're going to kind of see how it correlates, how you'll see how as Shadow starts shifting internally, how his external is starting to shift as well. So, but yeah. So now they infuse their energy together, right? So Shadow basically combines all of his anger and chaotic energy from the Robotniks, and Sonic combines all of his energy from warrior energy. So this is coming from Knuckles. And they basically collide with each other. They start fighting each other. Shadow begins to tries getting in Sonic's head, and Sonic's shadow self ends up kind of bullying him. And I've experienced this personally, specifically last Wednesday, where I got in the mirror. I went in the mirror, and my shadow self was basically trying to talk down on me and convince me that the shit that I was doing wasn't even worth it, and to basically take a different route. You're trying to show me a different route, a path that I was not trying to go down. So it's basically the same thing. Sonic or Shadow is trying to get into Sonic's head and deter him from his path. And Sonic basically knocks Shadow to the moon, and he hit him hard enough that it knocks out his emerald that he has and puts him back to his normal true form, which is the black and red Shadow. And then at the moment that Sonic can finish Shadow, he glances down at Shadow's heart or his chest, and then this triggers a memory and a flashback of Tom, when Tom said, "You don't let the pain change who you are." And he didn't realize that finishing Shadow is not his true self. So Shadow says, like, he's confused, right? Because he's like, what are you doing? Like, you won. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny the way that he did it. Like, you won, like, take your revenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was so confused because that's how he thinks in his mind. He figured it was a win or lose. So if I lost, then I'm supposed to die. If I win, then I get to kill them. Right? That's how he thinks. So because Shadow didn't finish him, he's like, what? It's like, why didn't you finish me? You won. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you beat me fair and square. Like, he was admitting that he lost fair and square, and he was prepared for his death. And Sonic was like, it's not, that's not who he is, you know? So as Shadow sits up, you know, again, they're on the moon. He's looking at the stars, and looking at the stars, he remembers Maria's voice when they was talking about the stars on that mountaintop, when the last time he was at his higher self talking with his divine feminine. And then Shadow admits all he knows is pain. So Sonic relates to him with the pain that he felt when the painting that he made in the cave. He says he understands because that's how he felt when that person died. I don't remember the person's name, but it was an owl, I think. But yeah. So he relates and he says love is more powerful than pain, though. So that's what remains is the love. So hold on to the love, the loving memories, like you did at the beginning, right? Sonic doesn't know this part, doesn't know that he held on to the loving memories. But I'm bringing this back up to show you that we tying it all together. He tells Sonic, or tells Shadow, hold on to the loving memories that y'all had, because that's what's going to live on forever. And as he says that, the sun rises above Earth, like it comes up, so it's like sunrise for Earth. And as the sun rises, this symbolizes internally Sonic shining the light on his shadow. For Shadow, the sun shining internally, or coming up across the sun internally, it symbolizes him finding the light within himself. And as a result, Shadow says again, the light shines even though the star is gone. The Shadow admits that he was blinded by his rage and he felt he had no choice. Again, this is our third time talking about choice. Sonic grabs him, like pulling him up by hand, and says he always has a choice. You always have a choice. You understand? So he says when you also screw up shit, you also can't fix it on your own. When you really screw shit up. So this is when they unify. This is when Sonic finally unifies with his shadow self, and they become one. So this scene shifts. The scene shifts. Hold up. All right, the scene shifts to the Robotniks fighting each other. So you've now got the Robotnik fighting the grandfather Robotnik. And this is symbolism of the shift that Shadow just had internally, right? So now you've got the inner child fighting the wounded masculine energy. Sonic and Shadow combine their strengths to destroy the robots that the grandfather Robotnik sends after them after he realizes that Shadow chose to join teams with Sonic, basically. And then the inner child Robotnik basically loses the fight. Grandpa kind of steps on his hands and basically lets Robotnik fall to his death. It almost kind of gives me the symbolism of Scar and Mufasa. That's kind of what it gives me the symbolism of, right? He turns his back thinking that he won. Tails and Knuckles save Robotnik from falling, and Robotnik strikes, or I guess shocks. It's like an electrical pulse from Sonic's hair that turned to gold when Sonic was in his golden aura. Well, he's still in his golden aura at this time, and it shocks the grandfather Robotnik into this like zapper thing. And when that happens, that is the inner child, the wounded inner child defeating the wounded masculine. So this symbolizes Shadow's own internal pain, right, being released, basically, once the grandfather is killed. And again, this only happens after Shadow and Sonic talk and the sun rises internally. So now they're trying to turn the cannon. They have to turn the cannon away from the earth so that it doesn't fucking destroy the earth, right? And Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik work together to turn the cannon away from the earth. Shadow appears next to Robotnik. He teleports and appears next to Robotnik and asks what's happening. He tells Robotnik to buy him some time. Him being Shadow, Shadow tells Robotnik to buy him some time so that he can steer away the cannon from Earth. And then Shadow continues to say, this is our last chance to do the right thing. This is Shadow's higher self talking to his inner child now. This is our last chance to do the right thing. This is also Shadow's loving self. Shadow's higher self is talking to his loving self now, which is Robotnik in the physical. Right? Robotnik with the red coat. So once Robotnik realizes what he got to do, they move it off the cannon, off of aiming from the from destroying the earth, and it kind of cuts the moon instead. And then they see that it's going to blow up, so they have to push it further away from the earth so that when it blows up, it's staying in space. It's not coming into the earth atmosphere. At this point, Sonic's basically drained all his energy trying to push the cannon away from Earth. He's falling towards Earth right now, and so is Tails. And Knuckles is basically jumping down to catch both of them. And then Robotnik has a drone. He has a drone that basically puts him on the like a jumbotron in the city. So Agent Stone sees him, and he basically gives Agent Stone love and appreciation, and realizes the truth that Agent Stone was always there for him, and he never was actually alone. So again, we have that message again. You're never alone. That was the main message of Helios. But he realized he was never alone, and that he always had someone there for him or with him. And then again, as he says this, Robotnik is on an octagon. So we have the octagon again with the symbolism of bridging Earth and the spiritual realm together, with them being up in space while that message is being played on Earth to symbolize the connection. So this can also basically represent how we receive communication from higher dimensions with intuition and spirit guides and stuff like that. So lastly, Robotnik dies. When Robotnik dies, Shadow dies at the same time, because again, Robotnik is an internal projection of Shadow. So only one piece of Shadow has died. His wounded masculine died, right? And then his inner child died. And when his inner child died, Shadow died. And they died in a self-sacrifice, and then they died in an explosion. This mirrors how Maria died. Maria died in an explosion in fire, the fire element. So first his divine feminine is done. Then his divine masculine dies in a zap. He got zapped, basically. And then Robotnik dies in fire as well. So notice Shadow was still able to live even though his divine feminine died, but he was living in pain. And then his masculine energy died. All he had left was his inner child. Once his inner child died, Shadow died. All three energies died first before Shadow died. All three energies of his projection, of his internal projections, died before he ended up dying. So understand that and grasp that. Marinate on that for a little bit. The fire element brings drastic change and fast change, quick change, dramatic change. This could also be another example of a tower moment. So Sonic has transcended his shadow self and asked for forgiveness from his team, which is Knuckles and Tails. You know, this is his team that he projects internally, that's projecting towards him outwardly. Sonic's entire family gets back together in the camp, and they end it with a friendly race, and this time it's actually between his internal projections and not holograms, so it's actually between him, Knuckles, and Tails, and his self, and then the movie ends. So, all that to say, get in tune with your shadow self, heal your shadow self. I had experience with my shadow self. I'm not gonna hold you, he had me by the balls, bro, and I ain't know what the fuck to do. For a second, I felt trapped. I literally, truly felt trapped for a few moments until I could figure out what was going on, only to find out my shadow self feared, you know, love and vulnerability, which makes sense. It makes sense why he was talking to me the way that he was talking to me. It makes sense why he was trying to convince me to go the way that he was trying to convince me to go. So again, do not deny your shadow self, because again, they need love. As you've seen in this movie, Shadow needed love, was seeking love, was missing love, just as any other person in this world, just as any other emotion in this world too. Don't be trying to hide the things that's not society doesn't consider a good quality about you. Make sure you're showing these qualities love, even if you're not showing or demonstrating it in public. Just make sure you're showing these emotions love, the lesser emotions that you love them as well, right? Don't just hop into the happiness and make sure you like, oh, I love happiness, blah 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 blah. Everybody love being happy. Nobody love being sad. But you gotta swim through those emotions. Otherwise, they'll consume you. And they'll start consuming you more and more and more and more until you start showing it love and release it. So, overall theme, like I said, unification, teamwork, / partnership, and love, and the power of love, right? So, we're going to try to get this uploaded. I'm hoping YouTube don't be tripping. I'm hoping my phone don't be tripping also. Try our best as we can to get it uploaded to tonight, for tomorrow, for Wednesday. If it don't upload, I'm gonna just do the same thing we did last week. You just get a whole bunch of different segments from the video until I can get the video uploaded. Cool. I don't know what the next movie's gonna be. So I see y'all when I see y'all. If you want another movie, if you want me to do a movie, whether it's in the movies or it's been out for years, or even if it's from like 1942, I ain't gonna hold you. Don't, you know, I mean, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll be interested, but I'll watch it. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer something that's got a little color to it. Yeah, I mean, but either way, you got a movie recommendation, or you want a movie that you want me to break down for you, drop it in the comments. And shit, other than that, man, I see y'all later. I see y'all next week. Hopefully. If not, I see y'all motherfuckers when I see y'all. Hey, peace and love. Y'all be safe.
Burn my boots, big shoes, all wins, don't lose, just choose. And watch the magic light up your fuse. Trust in yourself, boy, I give you cahoots. Plant my feet, let me ground my roots. Oh, excuse my apologies, I need to express gratitude.